But let's just get a really quick elevator pitch on what your project is. I also want to know what's next for the project, because distribution and getting a project into places where people can actually watch it is critical. I'm curious as to know what the plan is to get more eyeballs to watch your projects. And then what's next?
Sure. A good distribution entity that I found, I mean, I'm sure there's different types, but like Amazon.com has, I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but they have their Create Space, which I kind of played around with, except I don't really outwardly try to sell it. I just kind of throw it up in case anyone wants to Google all the movies and buy one or whatever. But that's not a bad avenue if you're looking to make money, I suppose, because especially if it's feature length, you can put it up there, and the download might cost, I don't know, it's $2 to rent it or $3 to buy it. So, and then you just send the link to your friends, and to a certain degree, people might be like, oh, this movie looks interesting, and then cut a little trailer, show the trailer, and say if you want to watch the whole movie, it's only $2, and you can buy DVDs from there as well. I don't know if anyone still uses those. And so that's certainly not a bad avenue, and it doesn't cost anything. I mean, I don't know if we'll do that with our movie, but I just mean if you are just making something for $1,000 or $2,000, and it's just your own personal money, and you want to try and make some of that back, you might be able to through those kinds of avenues. It might be better than YouTube, where everyone just watches it for free. Now, the film, yeah. I mean, Roaming's about a man named Will, who's give or take about 30 years old, and he has a level of high social anxiety and part undiagnosed autism in a sense. He's not, from my experiences, because two of my cousins have autism, or one of them has autism and the other one has Asperger's syndrome. I really started looking about the autistic spectrum and how someone might be so far on the spectrum that they may need to be institutionalized, whereas others have maybe enough of it that they seem normal, but they are a little bit, there's something not quite there, or not quite normal. So I really wrote the character to have that kind of problem, where day-to-day tasks, such as just moving out of your parents' place and getting a job, is almost like climbing a mountain for this individual. So basically, it's about him. He's just recently moved out of his parents' place to live with a really good friend of his, and he reconnects with a girl he went to high school with, and essentially they form a connection. They fall in love in a sense, but they really wrestle with, or she really wrestles with whether or not she wants to be with someone who has this problem. Meanwhile, he is also quite smart in terms of he's a video game designer, so that ends up becoming his avenue. And one of the plot lines is about whether or not he can actually make it in the world, find a job, and support himself. And his I guess I'd be giving away the ending, I suppose, but essentially he develops this video game that his friends really like, and has a prospect of maybe he can make money doing this.
Yeah, so for my film, Escape Proof, it's kind of a gritty urban crime drama of a skateboarder who witnesses his best friend get killed, and kind of struggles with the death of his friend, and also kind of ends up seeking revenge and kind of chase movie in a sense at some point. But then on distribution, that's I'm kind of currently in that right now, which is, like you mentioned, Amazon, which is a good program, but it's, I think, at this point, it's more, you can get your film out to different avenues, but it's obviously you got to figure out how to market it and get people to actually want to buy it and create the demand. For us, we have an iPhone app and an iPad app that luckily I have a friend who does that for development, so we kind of get a royalty share on that. And then Amazon Video, you can do like DVD, download, rentals.
Another point about that too is I remember it was a few years ago, a friend of mine started telling me about downloads and how people can download your movie and they'll pay $1 for it. And I was always a little bit like, I don't know why anyone would want to pay money to watch like a cheapy, low budget made film. And that's something to consider if you are going to try to make money at it, is you're not going to be able to make the Avengers, you know, you're going to have to make some kind of alternative. You're gonna have to,
Yeah, I think with like no budget, low budget films, it's probably the best thing to do is kind of find a niche, because it kind of, like for me it's skateboarding, so I knew that at least there'd be skateboarders that might be interested in seeing it, whereas if it was just a broad-based drama with no-name actors, you're kind of like, where do you find that market? So yeah, for me it was trying to find a niche kind of target, so I can at least target it to like that demographic.
No, our film is a comedy slash drama. It's based in a call center. That was really important to us because a lot of us being from St. John, I don't know what it's like in Fredericton, but you know, we've all worked in call centers. All my friends have worked in call centers. Pretty much everybody I know has done a summer job at a call center, and for the most part, we all hate it. So you know, we were able to make a movie generalized around the comedy of the things, you know, that would bother you in a call center or stuff like that. But most importantly, it's about a group of 5 friends, and there's some layoffs and stuff like that going on. So they're trying to determine what they're going to do with their lives about that. So that's kind of a little bit of a serious nature. And then one of the main characters, he has a serious issue with his family that he has to deal with. So in that, you get to see how these guys kind of, you know, act like everybody else, but also have to deal with serious things like layoffs and stuff like that. That's really true to where we're from. So that's basically it. It's a very crude movie with a lot of heart. So
Yeah, the first 15 minutes, stick with us. Stick with us. That's all I'm going to say. Because, look, here's the thing. The reason I wrote it the way I wrote it is I don't see myself, my friends, the way we talk in an office portrayed on the screen. As I think every filmmaker initially does. They want to do something that they can relate to. So when I wrote it, I was like, I have to tell a movie that's from our point of view.
I just want to say that I don't necessarily talk like they do.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But like, just an example, in our movie, you guys have to deal with 2 or 3 really bad, angry customers. And we made the conscious decision to not show their face. Because in the other flip of that is in the movies, you always see them dealing with the call center. You don't see the call center face. So this time, we showed what that impact is on the person you're talking to, treating them like shit. And you don't get to see the person who's just being an idiot for no reason. So those are the kind of things. So it's a real sweet movie. I'm very, very proud of it. Jared did a very good job. And so what's next is I've got 2 scripts written. I love being from New Brunswick. Everything that I've written is from the New Brunswick point of view. I've written, which sounds really weird, but like a gangster story from New Brunswick, because there's a lot of crime and grittiness here, and I want to try and tell a serious story. So we've got that, but that's going to require budget. And then I've got a road trip movie where 4 guys essentially go the distance from St. John to Fredericton for a weekend trip and never make it. And there's a lot of so that's what we're working on. We're trying to figure out, but right now we're just enjoying the festival, and you know, we're going to take everything with calming, and then after that, it's just keep moving forward. In the meantime, you can check out the Logic. I always said I just wanted to write the stories. I never wanted to visually tell them. And Jared was a real cool director. He was real sweet because I had a ton of questions and he answered them all. And I ended up going and buying my own little camera and stuff, and started doing this episode called Logic for YouTube, 4 minutes long, just following 2 guys around general observations of St. John and Brunswick and pop culture. And we've got 4 episodes online, and our season finale is 3 weeks away. So that's kind of what's on tap for Let 'em Laugh and Jared Media.
Being not in the industry or having any connections, it's always hard to sort of find your inroads. But I found social media was always a great way to get involved with people who are genuinely interested in helping independent filmmakers like ourselves. I'm on stage32.com, and I've made connections with 3 different people out west who have done their own self-distribution and have written about the perils of going out and getting that sweet deal and getting burned by it. So I've been talking to a few people, and they've given me some insight as to how to help self-distribute our movie via video on demand, digital distribution. I think that's what we're going to focus on right now, because we have a lot of friends and family out west who just want to see this movie. So in order for me to help keep piracy down, because we all know that's a plague in this industry, video on demand is probably the best way for us to go. And I'm just going to keep on continuing on until I find someone who's willing to sit down with us to see our movie and go, okay, I want to take this to another level.